Discover the amazing journey of a grandma, hidden trauma exposed and life-changing triumphs. Grandma Edna stood behind the counter of her bakery, the familiar warmth of the oven filling the air. The sweet aroma of freshly baked pies wrapped around her like a comforting hug. For decades, this place had been the heart of the quaint suburban town, a sanctuary where laughter spilled over coffee cups and dreams were born over slices of cherry pie. But as she rolled dough, a deep-seated sadness whispered from the corners of her heart, a silence buried under layers of flour and sugar. She reflected on her life, the glow of her family's love shining brightly around her, especially from her granddaughter Katie, who burst with ambition. Katie had dreams of conquering the bustling city, her eyes sparkling with big plans that soared high. Yet, Edna felt a rift growing between them, ice forming where warmth once flourished. How could she share with Katie the truth of their family's struggles? How could she tell her about the battles fought in silence, the poverty, the cold glances as a veteran's wife, the estrangement from her own family? She bit her lip, fighting back the wave of emotions threatening to spill. On a sunny afternoon, as her bakery filled with customers, a long-lost friend walked through the door. Joan, with her bright smile and familiar laugh, brought back memories Edna thought were long buried. Their conversation brought the weight of the past crashing back in waves. Edna felt her chest tighten as Joan mentioned the struggles of their younger years, shame intermingled with pride. Wounds opened anew. "What's wrong with you, Edna? You seem distant," Joan said, concern etching her brow. Katie watched from the side, frustration consuming her as Grandma avoided the questions, wrapping secrets in smiles. That night, tension hung heavy in the air. "Why can't you just let the past be the past?" Katie snapped, her voice cracking with desperation. "You keep acting like a victim. Don't you want to move forward?" Stinging tears gathered in Edna's eyes. "Katie, those experiences shaped our family," she said softly, pleading for understanding. "I fought too long to let you dismiss them." The air thickened with unspoken words as Katie crossed her arms, refusing to see the strength that had weathered the storm of their lives. The moment felt monumental, a delicate balance of love and disagreement standing on a knife's edge. Before they could further unravel, news of an economic crisis swept through their town. Businesses shuttered and people struggled. It was a time that demanded unity. Edna felt her heart surge with purpose. This bakery had always been a haven for her community. It was time to transform it into a hub of support. She poured herself into baking more than ever, creating meals for those in need. But with every loaf and pastry, the fracture with Katie grew wider. "You can't save everyone, Grandma," Katie barked one morning, a mix of anger and undeniable worry behind her eyes. "You think martyrdom is your success?" The unwelcome words burned in Edna's chest. As the bakery buzzed with patrons finding solace, she wrestled with her own secrets. Her past was a powerful tool for strength, but how could she expose the wounds that still ached? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the town coming together in their adversity, hope flickered like the warmth of the oven in her bakery. Edna realized she could be a beacon if only she could let her granddaughter see her story, her true strength. The two women faced each other, a silent tension hanging between them, both yearning for connection but frightened of what truth might bring. As Edna took a deep breath, her heart danced with determination. The time had come to share, to reveal her past not just for Katie, but for herself. Would the wounds remain open, or would they stitch the fabric of their relationship tighter, binding them with a newfound understanding? With her heart pounding, Edna was poised on the edge of revelation, ready to unveil the tapestry of resilience that had built their lives, leaving readers anxious to know if this pivotal moment would spark healing or deeper divides. With a deep, steadying breath, Edna leaned against the counter, flour dusting her apron. The hum of the bakery faded into the background as she locked eyes with Katie, feeling the weight of years tumbling in her heart. Her granddaughter stood there, fierce, bright, and filled with untamed energy. But beneath that confidence was fear, a fear born from uncertainty. Edna longed to bridge the gap, to connect the past with the future they were meant to share. Katie, she began, her voice fragile as the sugar crust of a tart. There are things you don't know about why I am the way I am, things that shape this bakery and shaped us. Katie's expression softened, but skepticism lingered like the last bits of batter pooled in a mixing bowl. I just want you to be happy. To enjoy the life you've earned, she replied, her arms slowly loosening from their defensive fold. Edna nodded, her heart racing, as she plunged into memories, fragments of conversations and even moments of laughter layered atop years of sorrow. When I was your age, we had nothing but hope. Nothing except for dreams we tried to bake into reality. She paused, gathering strength from the warmth in the kitchen. Your grandfather fought in the war, and when he came home the world was different. We lost so much, and I became the shield for our family, keeping the hurt away. Katie's eyes flickered, realization dawning like sunlight breaking through dull clouds. I didn't know, I thought you just didn't want to talk about it. Edna smiled sadly. Talking about it was too painful. But I wish I had done it sooner. It's the stories of our past that can guide us through hard times like those we're facing now. Her voice grew firm as she pointed to the bakery bustling with customers, a community that needed their strength. You're right. I can't save everyone. But I want to give hope. I want to show others that while we might have scars, love is what makes us whole. Katie's brows knitted in thought. You think your past will help this town? Yes, Edna replied, hope twinkling in her eyes. I want to share our story at the community fundraiser next week. Maybe it'll inspire others to open up about their struggles. But what if it backfires? What if they don't understand? Katie's voice trembled, her fear spilling out alongside her concern. Edna took a step closer, her voice low and soothing. What if it doesn't? What if it brings us all closer? Everyone deals with pain in their own way. Sharing my truth could help others feel less alone. Katie took a breath. The air between them charged more with understanding than with the friction that had lingered. And me? Where do I fit in? A smile broke through Edna's nervousness. You fit in the heart of it, all your dreams and every passion you have. Together we can face the past and build the future. Katie's expression shifted, hope igniting where doubt had been. You know what? Maybe you're right. If we do this together. Yes, I want to help with the fundraiser. Edna's heart swelled, pride flickering embers of connection. They both felt the magnetic pull of potential. A bridge overtaken by shadows was beginning to blend with sunlight. As they began to outline the fundraiser's details, laughter and chatter filled the bakery. Yet within that warmth, a new layer of understanding unfolded between them. But even as hope blossomed, a lingering thought twisted in Edna's mind. If she revealed their family's history, would there be acceptance or backlash? The following week felt like an uncharted journey, both thrilling and terrifying. Edna realized she was standing not at the edge of a cliff, but on the cusp of a transformative moment. What would the community think when they heard her story? Would it heal or would it widen the cracks? As the clock ticked down, she found herself staring into the oven, watching muffins rise with the same anticipation that danced in her heart. Could her story truly make a difference? And just then, as the bakery door swung open to a fresh wave of customers, a familiar face slipped inside, one from her past that could change everything. Edna's heart skipped as she lifted her gaze to the bakery door. In walked Clara, a face from another lifetime. Clara looked the same but older, her once vibrant curls dulled by time, and that familiar spark in her eyes now flickering. Edna could hardly believe it. How many years had it been? Katie, could you take care of things for a moment? Edna whispered, still absorbing the sight of her old friend. Katie nodded, her curiosity piqued, but Edna hardly registered it. She stepped toward Clara, every inch of her trembling not from fear but from something deeper, a rush of memories that swept forth like a tidal wave. Clara, is that really you? Edna's voice wavered as she approached. They embraced, the warmth of familiarity washing over her with a mix of nostalgia and apprehension. Edna, I've been meaning to come by, Clara said, her voice laced with uncertainty. I heard about what you're doing with the fundraiser, and I wanted to be here to support you. Edna stepped back to take in her friend, but something was off in Clara's eyes. The sparkle was dimmed, replaced by a flicker of unease. The last time they'd met, they had shared laughter and dreams over pastries, not secrets and scars. It's so good to see you. You've always been such a fighter, Edna said, forcing a smile, but the weight of the past filled the air like thick clouds before a storm. Clara's shoulders slumped, the bravado fading. I've had my battles. We all have, haven't we? Edna nodded slowly, feeling a knot tighten in her stomach. I've decided to share my story at the fundraiser. I hope it can do some good. Oh, Edna, Clara's voice dropped, growing serious. What if some stories are better left unsaid? What if they come back to haunt you? Edna's heart raced. I know there's risk, but if we don't talk about it, how do we heal? Sometimes it's easier to bury the past, Clara murmured, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. But I've learned that shadows don't disappear just because we ignore them. You mean you're not here just to cheer me on? Edna asked, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her voice. No, I'm not, Clara replied, the truth spilling out. I had to confront my own past, the pain I thought I could outrun. I didn't know if I could face you. Edna's pulse quickened. Clara, you don't have to tell me anything you're not ready for. But know that whatever it is, I'm here. We're in this together. For a moment they stood in silence, and the bakery around them dimmed, leaving only the flickering bond of old friendship. The door swung open again, and the laughter of customers drifted in like a distanced echo. Edna could feel the warmth of the community and the weight of her own memories colliding, stirring the pot of courage she had only begun to mix. Will you stay? Join me on this journey? Edna asked, gentle urgency in her tone. Clara hesitated, her resolve wavering like dough rising under heat. What if I can't? What if sharing my pain just brings more? Then we share it together, Edna said, gripping Clara's hands, feeling the strength beneath the surface. We can face it all. But only if you're ready. Clara's expression softened, and for the first time in years, Edna felt the barrier of silence begin to crack. But beneath that break a deeper truth loomed. Edna sensed that Clara held both a reflection of her past and a key to understanding it. Without another word, Clara took a breath, as if preparing for a plunge. As Edna studied Clara's face, the room buzzed with chatter, yet the air between them thickened with possibility. Could a shared history filled with unspoken pain actually pave the way for healing? Before Edna could ponder further, a loud crash echoed from the back room. A pot had toppled, breaking the moment of tension. As they turned, a new wave of uncertainty rushed in, thunderous and real, leaving Edna wondering how many secrets still lay tangled in the heart of their community. Was she brave enough to face the stories they all carried? And would Clara lean into the chance to unearth their shared truths? Edna turned sharply at the sound, her heart racing as she glanced toward the back room. The crashing pot had pulled them back to reality, away from the heavy emotions that had begun to surface. As she and Clara exchanged a quick glance, Edna felt the weight of unspoken words settle between them again. Katie poked her head through the doorway, eyes wide. Everything okay? She asked, concern coloring her tone. Just a little mishap, Edna said, trying to lighten the mood. But her smile felt strained, and the gravity of their conversation lingered like a phantom. Do you want me to check on it? Katie offered, fidgeting with the hem of her apron. No, I've got it, Edna replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. She didn't want to break the moment she was finding with Clara. Katie nodded and returned to her work, but Edna knew a part of her was still watching, still worried. With a deep breath, Edna turned back to Clara, who had closed her eyes briefly as if to gather herself. Shall we sit? Edna suggested, motioning toward the small table by the window, where sunlight spilled in, casting warm patches on the worn wooden surface. Clara nodded and followed her lead. They settled into their chairs, a comforting familiarity slowly seeping back into the air. Thank you for being here, Edna said, her voice softer now. Means more than you know. Clara looked down, fiddling with her bracelet. I wish I could say the same for myself. I didn't just come to cheer you on. I wanted to figure some things out. Thought maybe. She hesitated, swallowing hard. Maybe seeing you would help me face my own shadows. Edna reached out, covering Clara's shaking hand with her own. You don't have to walk this path alone. We can face everything together. Tears pooled in Clara's eyes, but she didn't pull away. I haven't been honest with myself, she admitted, her voice breaking. Every time I think about what happened, I want to hide, to forget. Tell me about it, Edna urged gently. What's weighing on your heart? I lost so much in that accident, Clara whispered, her breath steadying as she spoke. Everyone was so focused on moving forward, but I felt like I was left behind, trapped in this silence. The silence can be so heavy, Edna replied, nodding in understanding. But maybe it's time to break it. We can help one another. Clara looked up, a tiny spark flickering in her eyes as if remembering a little of what she had lost. It's just so scary, Edna. What if I say the wrong thing? What if it hurts too much? Edna felt her heart ache for Clara. Or what if it brings healing? What if we find freedom in those words? Just then, a couple of regulars walked into the bakery, their laughter and chatter filling the space, cutting through the tension like a warm knife through butter. Looks like business is picking up, Edna said, attempting to shift the mood once more. She forced a smile that felt more hopeful this time. Clara smiled back, though her eyes still held uncertainty. You've always had a way of comforting people, Edna. Except when I'm struggling myself, Edna admitted, a hint of vulnerability creeping in. I guess we're all just trying to figure this out, aren't we? As they both sat amidst the bustling sounds of the bakery, Edna felt the connections forming between their past pains and the possibility of release. Edna, Clara started, pausing as if gathering courage. What if we make a pact? A promise to share our truths, whatever they may be. No more hiding. Yes, Edna replied, her heart swelling with hope. Let us shed the weight together. Clara smiled, more authentic this time, as if a light threatened to break through. But before either could delve deeper, the bakery door swung open again, bringing in a gust of cold air and a newcomer who caught Edna's eye. This may be a surprise, Clara said, glancing toward the entrance. Edna felt her heart skip again, uncertainty overshadowing the warmth they had begun to kindle. She held her breath. Who was it, and what would this sudden twist mean for their growing resolve? As the door closed behind the newcomer, Edna braced herself, the air thick with a new kind of tension. Was this the moment when everything would change? The door swung open completely, revealing a tall figure wrapped in a puffer jacket, hands shoved deep in the pockets. Edna's breath caught in her throat as recognition washed over her like ice water. It was Tom, Clara's brother, a ghost of their shared past, appearing unexpectedly in the bakery where their lives had scattered like the flour dusting the countertops. Hey Clara. It's been a while, he said, trying to sound casual, but the tension in his voice was palpable. Clara's face fell, emotions storming behind her eyes, a mix of dread and a long-buried yearning. She hadn't seen him since the accident, a pivotal moment in their lives that had left them fractured. Edna sensed the moment stretching, the air answering Tom's entrance with a hushed anticipation. Tom, Clara finally whispered, her voice barely above the sound of the bustling bakery. Can we talk? He asked, his tone shifting from light to serious, glancing between Clara and Edna. Tension buzzed in the room, morphing the warm sunlight into something colder. Edna squeezed Clara's hand tighter, a silent promise to stand by her side. Clara's breath caught in her throat, and for a fleeting second, the promise they just made hung in the balance like a fragile thread. Now? Clara asked, her voice shaky. Here. Tom nodded, his gaze unwavering. I didn't know where else to go. I thought, well, maybe it's time to stop pretending it didn't happen. Clara's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. She looked away, a storm of emotions playing out in her features. I don't know if I can do this. Maybe you don't have to do it alone. Edna interjected softly, her heart racing. Talk to him. Just whatever you feel, let it out. Clara hesitated but then squared her shoulders, a show of strength rising in her. Fine, she breathed, then turned to Tom. What do you want to say? Tom stepped further inside, his hands finally breaking free from his pockets as he started to speak, his voice low. I've been thinking about everything that happened, and how it tore us apart. I don't even know where to begin to tell you how sorry I am. Clara flinched at the word sorry, as if it had triggered something inside her. You don't get to just apologize when you walked away from it all, Tom. You left me to pick up the pieces. There was a harsh truth in her words, filling the room with a pointed silence. Edna felt heat rise in her chest as she watched Clara grapple with a mix of resentment and heartbreak. Can't we just? Tom started but was cut off. No. Clara's response was sharp. You didn't face the aftermath with me. You ran. How dare you come here now? Edna felt tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. This was raw, unfiltered emotion spilling out, and she knew it was what Clara needed. She should be scared for the storm they were in, but instead she felt a pulse of courage. I want to understand what you felt, Tom pushed gently. I can't undo the past, but I want to be here for you now. Edna watched as Clara's breath hitched again, caught between anger and the yearning for connection. This isn't easy, Tom, Clara whispered, vulnerability cracking through her voice. I know, he said, stepping closer, trying to bridge the gap. But it's a start, right? We can't keep waiting for it to get better by ignoring it. Taking a deep breath, Clara looked between Tom and Edna, her heart clearly warring with her mind. Edna felt the tension ebb and flow, the scene charged with possibility wrapped in pain. Maybe we can try, Clara said, her voice softer now, almost fragile. Just then, Edna spotted a set of eyes from the bakery's entrance watching with interest. Someone else pulled into their orbit at the most inopportune time. She turned to see Clara's old friend, Lily, standing there, a swirl of confusion crossing her face. What is happening? Lily asked, pulling the door slightly wider and stepping into the warmth of the bakery. Edna felt the knot tighten again, knowing that every new person added to the complexity of this moment. Would the small crack in Clara's facade hold, or would it shatter under the weight of unaddressed emotions? The path ahead grew uncertain, but one thing was clear. They were stepping toward change, perhaps with just one small flicker of hope. Who else would join their tangled story, and would they welcome the chance to heal? Clara's focus shifted to Lily, and the mix of emotions sparked like fireworks between them. Memories flooded Clara's mind. Laughter shared, late-night talks, moments of unfiltered honesty. Yet here stood Lily, watching the fragile thread of Clara's life unravel before her eyes. Clara. Lily prompted, concern etching her features. What's going on? Is everything okay? Before Clara could find her voice, Tom stepped in. We're just having a little chat about the past, he said, trying to sound casual but failing to mask the gravity behind his words. Yeah, more like a confrontation, Clara said, her voice tinged with anger again. But that's between us, Lily. You don't have to worry about it. Lily's gaze flickered between them, her intuition picking up the intensity. No, I think I do need to know. You disappeared for a long time. I thought it was because you were healing. Clara swallowed hard, her throat constricting. Feeling. It was easier to pretend nothing was wrong. Tom stepped closer, a bold move that made Clara tense. That's why I'm here, Lily. I want to open that door that's been locked for too long. Edna could feel the weight of the air in the room. Clara's eyes glistened with tears that threatened to spill over, amplifying the turmoil brewing within. It's not that simple, Tom, she whispered. You think unlocking that door makes everything fine? It's not like I've just been waiting for you to show up. Then what have you been doing? Tom asked, his voice softening. I can't change what happened, but I can try to understand your pain. We were family, Clara interrupted sharply. You don't get to rewrite our history. You think because you want to face what happened now, I'll be okay? That maybe I can just forgive you? Lily took a cautious step toward Clara, her expression a mixture of empathy and confusion. Clara, you deserve to be heard. I've seen you struggle with this. Let Tom speak. Tom's eyes tightened briefly at Lily's intervention, but he pressed on. I know I hurt you, but that doesn't mean I don't care. I might not deserve your forgiveness, but I want to be here now. I want to be part of your healing. Clara took a deep breath, shaking her head as if trying to dislodge the heaviness weighing down her heart. You don't even understand what I've been through. The days turned into months of feeling so alone, Tom. A tremor ran through Edna as she watched Clara's resolve start to crack, the walls she had built so carefully beginning to tremble. This wasn't just a conversation anymore. It was the layer of ice around Clara's heart slowly melting under the weight of unspoken words, lingering grief. What if we tried to understand each other, Clara? Tom suggested, his voice softening more. What if we took small steps together? Small steps. The thought lingered in the room, breathing new hope into Clara's turmoil. Edna felt the tiny flicker of possibility. Any movement toward healing was a step in the right direction. I just don't know if I can trust you again, Clara admitted, her voice cracking. Vulnerability was creeping in, making her heart beat faster. Tom nodded, understanding the challenge ahead. Trust isn't built in a day. Takes time. But I'm here, willing to take those steps if you are. Suddenly, the bell above the bakery's door jingled again, and a new face entered, bringing a fresh gust of energy that filled the room. It was Jake, Clara's childhood best friend. "Hey, what's the commotion about?" Jake's carefree voice cut through the tension, instantly lightening the mood. Clara's heart sank. More witnesses. She feared this might cloud the moment she finally opened up. She needed to talk about the past, yet now more eyes were watching, more expectations looming. "No, no, not now," she whispered under her breath, feeling the weight of judgment from every angle. Did Tom's arrival set off a chain of events that would unravel or redeem Clara's life? And could her old friends truly understand the depth of her pain? Or were they just spectators in a story she hadn't finished writing yet? The uncertainty loomed large, even as conversations swirled around her. Would she find the courage to speak her truth, or would she let another chance slip away? Clara felt Jake's presence like a tidal wave crashing into her fragile moment. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but the words slipped away, tangled in her thoughts. She glanced at Tom, then at Lily, who both seemed confused by Jake's casual entrance. It was as if he had pulled a thread, unraveling the delicate fabric of resolve she had finally started to weave. Jake, not to be rude, but we're kind of in the middle of something here," Clara said, trying to keep her voice steady. Jake frowned, his eyebrows knitting together. "Sorry, didn't mean to crash your party. Just thought you all looked tense. What's up? You need me to break the ice?" He smiled, his enthusiasm a sharp contrast to the turmoil swirling around Clara. Tom shifted uncomfortably, like a stranger in Jake's light-hearted world. "It's a bit more than that, Jake," he replied, his tone measured. "Clara and I are trying to talk about some things from our past." Jake's smile faltered, replaced by concern. "Oh, I didn't realize. Sorry. I can come back later?" "No." Clara snapped, the frustration bubbling over. "I mean, please don't. You're here now and I just wish this could be simple." Clara ran a hand through her hair, exhaling slowly as she felt the heat on her cheeks. Lily looked keenly at Clara, sensing the shift. "Jake, maybe we do need a distraction. Or perhaps a perspective we're missing?" She turned to Clara, searching for some sign of agreement. Clara hesitated, biting her lip. "I don't want to put you guys through this. It's messy." "Messy is part of life," Jake countered gently. "If you're ready, tell us. We're here." The warmth in Jake's voice thawed a fraction of Clara's wall, but doubt didn't fade so easily. She felt exposed, like an open book in a crowded room. Tom stepped in again, softer this time. "Clara, let us just speak honestly. Maybe it won't be so heavy if you let it out." Clara looked between Tom and Lily, teetering on the edge of honesty. For once, she wanted to be brave enough to let someone see her scars. "Fine," she started, her voice shaky but urgent. "If you all want to know, it's been a nightmare trying to hold it together. I thought I could hide what happened, cover it up, but I was drowning. I felt like I was disappearing every single day." Tension lay thick in the air as Jake shifted closer, determination etched on his face. "You're not disappearing. You're right here with us," he said firmly. Tears slipped down Clara's cheeks, and she didn't bother to wipe them away. I think I'm tired of running from it. But every time I try to talk, it feels like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down, and I can't help thinking about what's waiting for me at the bottom." Tom's eyes softened. "That fear is normal, Clara. It's okay to feel vulnerable. We're all here to catch you if you fall." The sincerity in his voice opened something within her. But as she tried to push through the wall of hurt, the bakery door jingled again, and a familiar face stepped in. Clara's heart raced as she recognized the newcomer. It was Eric, her estranged brother, the very person she had wished would walk away for good. "Oh no," Clara muttered, panic surging through her veins. This wasn't what Clara wanted. The room felt suddenly constricted, the walls closing in. Eric had always been part of the storm that she tried to leave behind. Would he be the catalyst for more pain or a chance for reconciliation? Could this new development be the push Clara needed to finally confront her past? Or would it send her spiraling backward? Clara's mind raced as Eric stepped cautiously into the bakery, his presence sending ripples through the small group. Her heart thumped loud and restless in her chest. He looked different, maybe older, but his eyes were the same dark, searching and unsettled. Jake, catching her sudden shift in mood, looked between Clara and Eric, confusion mingling with concern. "Do you know him?" he asked quietly, as if trying to pierce through the tension that gripped the air. Yeah, Clara forced out, her voice barely above a whisper. He's my brother. The revelation sent a collective shiver through the room. Tom and Lily exchanged glances, but everyone's focus remained on Eric, who stood awkwardly near the door, his hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets. Clara, he said, his voice uncertain, I didn't know you were here. Yeah, well, this is my spot, she replied, the sting of defensiveness sharp in her words. Clara felt a wave of anger and frustration wash over her, fueled by years of hurt and abandonment. Eric stepped further inside, the door swinging closed behind him. I wanted to talk, he said, his gaze unwavering. I've been trying to reach you. A bitter laugh escaped Clara's lips unbidden. Oh, and what could you possibly want to say that would make sense now? I'm sorry. For everything. I just wanted to explain, he pleaded, his voice earnest, almost shaky. Explain? Clara shot back, the heat rising within her. You really think an explanation changes anything? You left. You left us. Lily, sensing the tension escalating, stepped forward. Maybe we can take a breath? Just listen for a moment? Her soft voice acted as a cushion to the rising storm. Clara's eyes flicked to Jake and Tom, who gave her encouraging nods. But Eric's presence forced her back to a darker place she hadn't wanted to revisit. She felt a mixture of rage, hurt, and a flicker of hope that perhaps this could be the conversation she had avoided for too long. All right, Clara said through clenched teeth. You have a chance. But you better choose your words wisely. Eric nodded, relief flooding through his features. I didn't just leave you. I thought it was for the best for everyone. For you, he began, his voice steadying as he drew in a deep breath. Things got messy and I thought, if I walked away it would spare you the pain. But I see now how wrong I was. I should have been there. I should have fought to keep us together. His eyes held a desperate sincerity that caught Clara off guard. For a moment, the weight of her anger lifted just enough for her to consider the vulnerability in his tone. Tom shifted beside her. Maybe it took a long time, but recognizing a mistake makes a difference, he encouraged, glancing at Clara with empathy. But how do I know this isn't just empty words? She challenged, her heart racing with uncertainty. Because I'm here now, Eric replied earnestly, his voice cracking with raw emotion. I want to try to make things right. I know I can't change the past, but I'm ready to listen and understand. Whatever it takes. Clara's breath hitched. There it was, the familiar tug at the fabric of her fear. She struggled to keep her walls up, to resist the allure of hope that maybe this moment could lead to something better. The moment lingered, heavy and charged. The bakery, once a safe haven, now felt like an unpredictable battleground. Would she let him back into her life, or would she reclaim the strength to stand firm? As her heart battled with her mind, questions swirled in the air. Could forgiveness be part of her healing? Would reconnecting with Eric mean reopening wounds she had worked so hard to seal? The tension held thick as smoke. Uncertainty hung in the fabric of their shared silence, waiting for Clara's next move. For her decision that would echo through her life forever. Clara's heart was racing, matching the pounding rhythm of her thoughts. She could feel Jake's presence beside her, steady and reassuring, but Eric's gaze held her hostage, pulling her into memories she had tried to bury. The air in the bakery was heavy, stifling, as words lingered unspoken, each syllable a potential minefield. Do you really think you can just walk back into my life and talk your way back in? She finally shot back, each word tinged with the edge of years of built-up pain. Eric's face fell, and she saw the flicker of remorse cutting through his bravado. Clara, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to earn it, he said, his voice low but steady. The sincerity in his tone contrasted starkly with the anger bubbling inside her. It was suffocating, yet somehow it sparked a small ember of hope. Earn it? Clara echoed incredulously. Do you know how many nights I cried myself to sleep wondering why you left? Do you know what it's like to grow up without a father because you chose to run away? The bitterness dripped from her words, raw and authentic. I didn't mean to leave you, Eric insisted, desperation creeping into his expression. It was a mistake I've lived with every day. I thought it was for the best. But it wasn't. Clara felt Jake's hand on her back, a solid reminder that she wasn't alone. In that moment, looking at Eric, She wrestled with the notion of anger versus understanding. Could she truly look deeper? Could there be a path to healing, even with all that had been shattered? The silence in the bakery was deafening, but as Clara glanced around, she noticed Tom and Lily watching them, concern etched on their faces. They were counting on her to figure this out. Clara took a deep breath, grounding herself in the reality of the surroundings. The sweet scent of pastries faded, replaced by the sharpness of her emotions. You don't get to say you're sorry and think that's it. You need to show me you mean it. Eric nodded slowly. I will. I just need a chance, he said, his voice trembling just slightly now. The determination in his eyes suddenly felt both enticing and terrifying. What did a chance even look like? Each passing second pushed Clara closer to the edge of releasing her anger, or allowing a fragile hope to grow. What if I decide to let you in again? Clara said, her voice steady yet cautious. What would that even mean for us? For me? Eric's expression shifted, burdened by the weight of her question. I want to be the brother you deserved, not the one who vanished when things got tough. I'll work on being better. Every day. The rawness of his promise hung between them. Clara could feel her heart being pulled toward the possibility of healing. But doubt lingered tightly. What if this was all just another setup for disappointment? What if you give up again? She whispered, almost to herself. Eric took a sharp breath, his eyes pleading. Then you can push me away for good. I'll understand, but I want to try. Clara flinched at the vulnerability radiating from him, the longing for connection seeping through his bravado. It felt like standing at a precipice, the unknown stretching endlessly before her. In the quiet tension of the moment, as her pulse thudded in her ears, another part of her, a part she hadn't dared to listen to, whispered back. What if letting him back in could unlock something lost? Trust is hard to earn back, Clara finally said, her voice a mix of fear and determination. But then the bell above the door jingled, and another figure stepped inside. Clara's heart sank. She recognized that face all too well. What if the past came rushing back, ready to complicate everything once more? The new arrival turned toward them, and Clara felt her stomach drop. It was Sarah, their childhood friend, the very person who had once been a part of their shared laughter and joyful memories. But now it felt like a ghost from a time that had long been buried. Hey everyone! Sarah's voice rang out warmly, but the light in her eyes dimmed as she noticed the tension in the room. What's going on? Clara's pulse quickened. An eruption of voices would surely follow this moment. How many old wounds would be opened? Clara braced for the storm. Just discussing the past, she replied, her voice tight. Sarah's smile faded as she hesitated, reading the room's energy. Look, I didn't mean to intrude, she started, backing up slightly. I just know stay. Clara interrupted, her voice taking on a sharper edge. Maybe you should hear this. The weight of her past was heavy, and Clara realized she couldn't carry this burden alone anymore. Clara, Tom began softly, but she cut him off, her heart racing. You know the stories we all share. Sarah was there when everything fell apart, wasn't she? Clara turned to Sarah, a mix of anger and hurt flashing across her features. So how about it? Do you want to sit in judgment? Or will you share your side of the story too? Sarah's eyes widened and she stepped forward, hands up in surrender. I'm not here to judge you. I want to understand. I miss you both, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I heard about the fundraiser and I thought, maybe coming here today would help me find a way back into your lives. The tension in Clara's chest began to convert into something softer. It's not just me. Could they all find a way back to each other? Amidst all their past hurts, there was an inkling of possible unity. Edna felt the shift as the heated air turned into warm possibilities. We're meant to heal together. Sarah, I'm so tired of being the only one carrying this weight, Clara said, her voice breaking. We had each other once. Where did we all go wrong? Sarah's gaze softened and she stepped closer, holding Clara's eyes. I disappeared too. I didn't know how to be there when you needed me. I was scared, so scared of not knowing what to say. I thought everyone would be stronger without me. But I see now how wrong that was. Tom looked at Clara, his voice spilling forth. You don't have to heal alone anymore. We can navigate this maze together, no matter how messy it gets. Clara's heart swelled at their collective vulnerability. And what if we fail? Then we'll pick each other back up, Eric chimed in, his voice steady and encouraging. Healing isn't linear. It's messy and can hurt. But we have the chance to find each other again and grow together. As Clara processed the depth of these emotions flooding the atmosphere, she took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of each person surrounding her. You mean we all matter to each other? Yes. The chorus of voices rang out in unison, an electric response piercing through the heaviness that had enveloped them for so long. With a newfound sense of purpose, Clara took a step forward, her head held high. All right, let us do it. Let us face whatever shadows are left. We've lived in silence too long. With that, Edna felt her heart radiate with warmth as she looked around at the faces that filled her bakery. Each soul was a piece of the journey, a long road they had walked together, now poised at the threshold of healing. Together, Edna said with a smile, her voice carrying the weight of 100 unspoken dreams. Together they echoed back, each resonating with hope, forging a band stronger than their past. The laughter came easily now, warm and unencumbered. Clara glanced at her bakery. It was more than just a place to sell pies. It had become a refuge, a library of pain and promise. In this moment the air was thick with potential. Healing was not just possible, it was happening. As they mapped out the details of the fundraiser and started planning, Clara could finally see the light begin breaking through the clouds. Hope surged through her veins like fresh dough rising in the oven. It could be the start of something beautiful. For the first time in a long while, Clara felt like she was being woven back into the fabric of connection. She was not alone. She had her community, her story, and together, they could turn their scars into stars, crafting a future they could all believe in. Remember, there's no better time than now to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that could inspire you just like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this message far and wide. Comment below your thoughts on this ending. How did it make you feel? And wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who could use the inspiration in their own lives. Let us create a community of hope together.